Hi, my name is Mike Tusaw. I'm a financial advisor from St. Charles Wealth Management. Today we're going to discuss time frame selection when selling a put option. Like our other video where we discuss time frame selection for buying a put, today we're going to go over long-term and short-term when selling a put and the advantages and disadvantages of each of them. We're going to start by discussing something more long-term. Now, long-term can mean a variety of things. Typically, where you're looking to sell something that's greater than 1 month, I kind of consider that long-term. And if you're doing 1 month or less, I consider that more short-term. So without that being said, what are some of the advantages of selling something long-term? Well, the first advantage is that you get more money for it. Now, you don't get more money if everything were to stay the same. You would get more money if you were to sell multiple short-term puts in the same time frame typically. But let's say that the underlying stock goes up a great amount or down a great amount to where you can't sell anything near the same strike price afterwards. You're going to have more premium captured when you're actually selling a longer-term put option. So that's one advantage to it. Another advantage to it is that you're going to have less gamma initially. So in other words, if it goes against you, it won't hurt as bad initially because the put is more long-term. So those are a couple of the advantages of selling long-term premium. Now, some of the disadvantages, of course, are that if you were to have the same volatility, the same price of the underlying, meaning if it doesn't move, you would be better off selling multiple short-term options because of the fact that time decay is not linear. And we'll talk about that in a moment. Another disadvantage of selling something long-term is the fact that initially you won't really get rewarded for it. So in other words, let's say that the stock stays the same for a month. Well, you won't get to capture your full premium, whereas if you had a shorter term option, you would have. So that's another disadvantage of it. So when looking to do something long-term, it's typically more of a safer play based upon the direction of the underlying. However, there's not as much advantage to it in terms of the time decay aspect of selling the option. Now let's talk about short-term. If you're looking to do something more near-term when selling a put option, there's a different set of risks and rewards that exist. Now, first off, allow me to explain how time decay is not linear. Let's say you have two options, option number 1 and option number 2. Option number 1 expires in 100 days. Option number 2 expires in 3 days. Between today and tomorrow, option number 1 loses 1% of its time value, assuming all other factors are constant. Option number 2 loses a third of its time value, assuming all other pricing factors are constant. So with that being said, you have more time decay, more bang for your buck in shorter term options. If God were to tell me that a stock were going to stay the exact same for a year and I could only sell put options against it, let's say, I would try and sell one new put option every day against it because of the fact that that's where I would make the most money. Now, once again, God doesn't tell me what stock prices are going to be, unfortunately. But if he did, that's what I would do to take the most advantage of it. So the biggest advantage of selling more of a shorter term put option is the fact that you'll have time decay working in your favor much more than what you would with a longer term put option. You can consistently sell more put options, assuming all other factors remain constant, and you will make more money if the stock cooperates. Also, volatility. Volatility would have to remain constant or become greater during the multiple time frames that you have. If that's the case, then you will make more money than just selling a longer term option. Now, let's say that you believe that the stock's implied volatility will become less in the coming months. Well, then if that's the case, shorter term options wouldn't be the way to go because of the fact that you're not locking in the longer term higher premium. If volatility or the pricing of options becomes less after several short terms, you might not make as much money. So that's one of the disadvantages of it as to how it can hurt you. The final disadvantage of how it can hurt you, or advantage of how it can help you, is gamma. So in other words, let's say that you sell a put option below the current price of the stock. If the stock goes against you or goes down, then a shorter term option will likely hurt you more than a longer term option. If the stock goes higher and you want to get out for profit, let's say when you have 80% or 90% of the potential profit, you can buy back at maybe buy back the short put at maybe 10 or 20% of the price you initially sold it for, then a shorter term option will benefit you much more quickly than a longer term option will. So once again, there's advantages and disadvantages to both of them, depending on what you're looking to do. If you enjoyed today's video, please subscribe. That's how we get our content out to more people. If you're looking for a financial advisor who sells put options, both short-term and long-term, feel free to reach out to me. My website is stcharleswealth.com. Also, you can follow me on Twitter @MikeTusaw. Thank you and have a wonderful day.